Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 15, National Football League. In week 13, I dubbed week 13 Showdown Sunday in the National Football League. NFL Network took it a step further. Week 14, they dubbed it Survivor Sunday in the National Football League. I'm dubbing week 15 Letdown Sunday in the National Football League. Here's another one of those teams that had a monumental letdown in week 15. I feel like there were a number of teams in week 15 with huge opportunities to do something special, to do something huge within the playoffs, and they just simply failed to take advantage of an opportunity that was given to them. Some early Christmas gifts were looked to be given out, and teams just simply declined to take them. Cincinnati Bengals are one of those teams that did not want to take a Christmas gift that was given to them. The Miami Dolphins said, hey, we beat you earlier in the year on Thursday Night Football. As a token of our appreciation for that W, here's an early Christmas gift. Merry Christmas, Cincinnati. And the Bengals said, nah, as nice as of a gesture as that is, we're going to have to respectfully decline. We just can't take that. Thanks anyway, though. And that's so unfortunate because the Cincinnati Bengals have worked so hard to put themselves in a position like this to be the number 2 seed. That's what the doctor ordered for this team. If they want to get to where they want to go, which is ultimately New Jersey and the Super Bowl, they need to be a number 2 seed. They need to get a first round bye. They need all the roads in the AFC playoff to either come through their place or Denver or New England or whoever is going to be the number 1 seed. They need to be off on wild card weekend, watching other teams, not playing. So let's talk about how this came to be. We're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals on the road, divisional game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, family business, AFC North style. You know how I feel about family business, especially down the stretch. You got family business. This isn't the time to have squabbles or disputes with family members. You go in, you handle your family business the way it's supposed to be handled, and you get out of there. No need for arguments going back and forth with a family member. This isn't the time for that. You do that in week 4. You do that in week 7. You do that in week 10. Week 15, in December, you don't have arguments and discussions with family members. You go in there, you lay down the law, and you walk out. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to discuss. You allow the Pittsburgh Steelers to have a one-sided conversation with you. You sat down, you shut up, and you let them do all the talking. Well, the end result is a loss on Sunday Night Football. Let's talk about it. This was a disappointing game for a number of reasons. A, like I said already, letdown Sunday. Miami Dolphins, earlier in the day, 1 o'clock games, beat the New England Patriots at home, which allows you to be tied in the standings with a win on Sunday Night Football with those Patriots. You beat those Patriots a month ago in your place in the jungle, which would give you the advantage via tiebreaker, which would put you in the number 2 hole in the AFC playoffs and slide the Patriots down to number 3. So this was a huge matchup in Pittsburgh. And I already said, these Cincinnati Bengals are still struggling with the big boys in that division. And even though you've assumed that role and you've kind of announced yourself as one of the big boys, you still haven't done anything. You still haven't won anything. So until you do, it's still the Steelers, it's still the Ravens, and then the Cincinnati Bengals fall into line. And so I like what you did to the Steelers earlier in the season at home, 20-10, dominated them. I needed you to do that again, this time on the road. And it was cold, man. It was brick city outside in Pittsburgh. But you're used to that. It's not warm in Cincinnati. In Ohio, it's just as cold as it is in Pennsylvania. So even though it was brick city out there, it should be nothing for you. Nothing that you can't handle. But you went out there and it just seemed like you weren't yourself. It just seemed like you were going to be out physical. You were going to be pumped. You looked like the team that was afraid of the big bad bullies in your division. You look like that Cincinnati's team that used to be a tenant. You weren't an owner like you are right now. You were a tenant. And I used to say that everyone else in that division, other than the Ravens and the Steelers, are tenants. The Steelers and the Ravens are your landlords. And the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns are your tenants. They pay. Each and every year, they pay twice a year to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. They got to ante up. They got to pay. Give me a win. And that's your rent for staying in this division. You get to pay us to stay in this division. And Cincinnati said, you know what? We're tired of paying rent. We want to own. We don't want to rent anymore. We want to own our own stuff. So you wanted to become a landlord yourself. Well, you started playing better football. But you're still struggling. You're still struggling. And you went to Baltimore early in the season, you lost. You go to Pittsburgh, you lose again. So you're still struggling on the road. And this has been a problem of yours all season long. The inability to get it done on the road. I thought, and you fooled me a couple of times this season. I'm not going to lie. You got me after that Detroit game on the road. Andy Dalton played lights out, capped off a stellar month. And, I said, man, that's the Cincinnati Bengals team that could go to the Super Bowl. That team right there, going to be hard to beat in the AFC. Then you go on Thursday Night Football and throw up all over yourself against the Dolphins and you lose. And I go, what are you doing, guys? Then you go to San Diego, a team that's playing some really good football right now. You go to their place and stifle them defensively. You absolutely shut them down offensively. And then your offense does enough to win. You win the game in impressive fashion, 17-10. And I go, that's the team right there. That team that just beat San Diego, that Cincinnati team can win the Super Bowl. And then you come on the very next week and you absolutely dismantle the Indianapolis Colts. And I say, that's the Cincinnati team that wants to be a number 2 seed in the AFC. That's the team that nobody wants to come into the jungle and have to face. The team that hasn't lost at home all season long. The team that if they get the number 2 seed and is insured multiple home games in the postseason, going to be a tough team to beat. That's what I said. And then what do? You proceed to go on the road the next week inside the division, family business, and throw up all over yourself. Puke all over the place. Just make a mess of the whole situation. Dolphins hand you an early Christmas gift. You don't want it. You don't need it. This game started out a mess. And when you dig yourself holes like that, when you're already not a good road team and you dig yourself holes early in the game against teams you struggle with, what do you think is going to happen? Okay? Huber drops the punt. Luckily, it wasn't I thought it was a safety. That actually might have been the best case scenario for you. They actually called it that he was down at the 1-yard line. Forward progress has been stopped. So the Steelers get the football at the 1. That's even better for them because you would take the safety, give them the free kick, and hope to play defense and stop them from getting in the end zone that way. And you only give them 2 points. Instead, they get the ball at the 1. They run it in. It's 7-0. Okay, fine. That's a bad start, but you can overcome that. Okay? That's fine, but you can overcome that. Then you let the Steelers drive right down the field, unabated, right into the end zone, touchdown again. Wow, okay. 14-0. Then you allow them to run a punt back. Wow. It's 21-0. When is this going to stop? I don't know. It's 27-7 at the half. At this point, this game is over because you're not coming back. You're just not going to be able to do enough to win this football game. And I sat here and I watched this team self-destruct right before my eyes. Drop passes, Andy Dalton struggling under pressure, no running game. Nothing came good of this start in this football game for Cincinnati. An opportunity to be the number 2 seed, something you've worked hard for all season long. It finally came to a head. The opportunity was right there in front of you. And you failed to seize it. What a disappointing night if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I mean, everything you've worked towards this season to get a number 2 seed, to be able to say, I got a first round bye, and you're going to have to come into the jungle. Now, look, you win your division, they're still going to have to come to the jungle. But guess what? After that, you're on the road. You got to be road warriors, something you haven't been all season long. So this was so disappointing. And look, you're still going to have some opportunities. The Patriots, they've got other games. They got to go to Baltimore next week. They could lose that game too. But how many chances do you want? How many chances do you want? This was your last road game of the season, luckily enough for you, because you looked abysmal. You looked bad. You looked terrible on the road. But I tell you what, if you're going to do something in the postseason, you're going to have to win on the road. You're going to have to win on the road. You need to get the number 2 seed. Just in case Denver wants to have another one of those epic collapses in the postseason and they're the number 1 seed, you'll be the number 1 seed after that, essentially. You'll be the alpha male in the AFC, but you need to get the number 2 seed. You had an opportunity, you blew it. Very disappointed. I'm very disappointed, but then again, I've been let down by this team all season long on numerous occasions when I thought you've turned the corner, you've done this to me. Every time I start to think Cincinnati, they're starting to get it. Defensively, they've got it. Offensively, Andy Dalton's playing good football. They're getting it. They're on the road. They're beating teams. Every time I think you're starting to get it, you wet the bed. You crap the bed. So, you know what? At this point, it is what it is. You got 2 home games. I expect you to win both of those. And if the Patriots falter down the stretch, you can still be the 2 seed. But that's alarming to me that you can't get it done on the road against a 5-8 Pittsburgh Steelers team that has struggled this season, that just last week wasn't able to get it done at home against a Dolphins team. You couldn't go into Pittsburgh and win, handle some family business. You let them slap. They out-physicaled you. Your punter having his jaw broken, they out-physicaled you in this game. They went up to you and slapped you in the mouth, and you started bleeding, and you didn't do anything about it. You ran home. And that was disappointing because that's not the Cincinnati Bengals team that I feel like can win a Super Bowl. That's the Cincinnati team that goes to the playoffs and loses every year to the Houston Texans. That's the team I saw. The one that gets smacked in the mouth and goes home in wild card weekend. Now, that's not going to happen to you this year because if you get a home playoff game, which will happen if you win your division, which you will do this season, you're going to win. I don't see a lot of teams being able to come into Cincinnati and beat you. But what happens when you got to go on the road? I don't trust you. Because of games and efforts like this, I don't trust you. What a win. And look, I don't want to sit here and just beat up the Cincinnati Bengals. Give some credit to the Steelers. They came out and they took this game. Start to finish, they took this game. They went up to Cincinnati and challenged their manhood, and they backed down. The Cincinnati Bengals backed down. They got punked, is what they did. And the Steelers reminded them that, hey, we may not make it to the postseason this year, but we're still family, and I still own you. Especially when you come to my house. I still own you. You still pay rent in this division. That's what the Steelers said in this game. We may not win this division. We may not win a wild card. We may not make it to the postseason, but you still are our little brothers in this division. Remember that. And so that'll go a long way towards the Steelers trying to come back next season. They got confidence now. You had a chance to step on these guys and really make them feel like they were inferior in this division, and you wasted that opportunity. Steelers went in. They got it done. They took it to them special teams wise. They took it to them defensively. They took it to them offensively. They got it done in this game. Every way imaginable. They dominated start to finish. Roethlisberger looked good. Antonio Brown has been a stud this year. Whether it's special teams, whether it's catching the football, he has been lights out for this team. And credit must be given to him. He's been outstanding for the Steelers team. And he was outstanding again in this game. And the Steelers get it done at home 30-20. Big win for the Steelers. Gets them to 6-8 on the season. Again, they're not going anywhere, but at least they can say, hey, we are still being respected in this league. They didn't go out like a punk. Okay? They could have done that. They could have went out like a punk. This season could have fizzled down the stretch. They could have finished at 7-9. They could have finished at 6-10. But they said, we got pride about ourselves. We're the Steelers. We're not going out like a punk. And they absolutely did that to the Cincinnati Bengals. They punked the Cincinnati Bengals in this game, and they get it done 30-20. If you're Cincinnati, you just need to bounce back from this, okay? It happened. It's done. You move on. Go home. Finish up the season strong. Beat Baltimore in Week 17. Win in Week 16. Get it done. Try to get that number 2 seed. If not, you'll win the division. You'll be the 3 seed, and then you just go from there. But you had an opportunity to control your own destiny. Now you need some more help. Now you need somebody like the Bills or the Ravens to beat the New England Patriots for you. And you can't count on anybody to do anything for yourself. You need to be able to do it yourself. You had an opportunity and you squandered it. Now you need more help. Now you got to hope somebody else feels like being very generous and giving you another gift. Will you accept that one? I don't know. We'll see. But you didn't take it this time, as the Steelers get it done 30-20. They go to 6-8 on the season. Cincinnati Bengals drop to 9-5 on the season. It was let down Sunday, and the Cincinnati Bengals did exactly that on Sunday, dropping this football game. And we'll see if they get some help down the stretch and allows them to win the number 2 seed. But right now, doesn't look like it. So I thank you for joining me here on the program. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. It was let down Sunday, and the Cincinnati Bengals had a huge letdown. I thank you for joining me. I got plenty more games to break down in week number 15 in the National Football